we're seeing here is the start of a people's assembly. So first I want to congratulate all of you for having the courage to come out and participate and help, not us, but help yourselves build a movement that can change many of the things that we want to see change. We've all been working, for a while independently within our silos, and I think it's important that now we've come together, and Cochabamba has done that for us. So first I'd just like to acknowledge that also we have Erika Duenas here, who's the attaché of affairs representing the Bolivian Embassy in Washington. And also I think it's important to remember, we have to remember the people who have the courage and have the courage to continue this are the indigenous people of the north and the south who have been struggling for 500 years. So I think it's important that we recognize that. And we are clearly participating and taking the lead from them, but also we want to thank the Bolivian people, because it's the Bolivian struggle. They're the ones who have the courage to actually call a people's assembly when the world is just organized in their own small world. So, we also want to thank the Bolivian people. I won't take up too much of your time, and we have, the goal here is to create a people's assembly, sort of emulate what we experienced in Cochabamba, where you will do most of the organizing, most of the discussion, and come up with like a plenary where then we can take action potentially. I've been asked, we've done a lot of talks around Cochabamba, so I'll give a brief description of what Cochabamba meant for myself and some of us who were there, and feel free to add anything that you want. But really, after Copenhagen, as many of you know, it really represented an anti-democratic process. It really was a siloed process where, the social movements, the organizations that really represented the people were left out of the main meetings. And really, at the end, a small group of countries came out with, the Copenhagen Accord that excluded a large portion of the social movements and of the countries of the South. So basically, what happened is the people from the South, with a lead from a lot of the Latin American countries, Bolivia specifically, said, we are going to call on the people to get together and decide what is it to have their voice heard. So Cochabamba really was the sort of the stage for that. In Cochabamba specifically, personally for me, it was transformative. The goal of Cochabamba was the complete antithesis of what happened in Copenhagen. It was participatory, it was inclusive, it really brought people from around the world. It was about 30,000 people that came from 140 countries. It started online first as well, so you didn't have to physically go there. And then while you were there was 17 groups really that were organized around different topics, from climate justice to the rights to Mother Earth to the global referendum, to climate debt, really analyzing what some of the challenges that we're facing in the climate. And one of the key factors that I personally got from there and that I kept resonating is that it's important that we have to stop being just consumers, and we have to become participatory individuals and collective in our democracies in order to bring about change and transformation. So I think it's wonderful that this is the first stage. Really, out of those groups, some important documents came out: the rights to Mother Earth, climate tribunal, and I won't go into detail because I think you guys have the handout. Because as I said, the goal is not for us to go into detail, but really it came out where a lot of the nations are now have taken it to the United Nations, and that's a proposal by the governments of, say, Alba, supported by UNASUR, and a lot of the the indigenous and campesino movements from around the world, saying that these are the voices of the people, and we want these included in the proposals for climate negotiations taking place now in Cancun and going forward. So really that was kind of the general component of it, but it's important to understand that it was transformative from my perspective is because it actually created a global movement. And what I see is that what Bolivia has done in Cochabamba really is taking what they did in their country. So Bolivia has refounded their nation, and it started by a transformation led by the campesinos, the indigenous movement, the women's movement, the students' movement, people just like you and I, just the same faces that we see here, who are struggling for the same issues. Right? And really they started that process at a grassroots level. And it was only when the people in Bolivia got involved in a participatory democracy, it was a struggle, it didn't happen overnight. It was a process that took many years, but they were able to transform their country. So if a country like Bolivia, who quote unquote is a third world nation, who is one of the poorest nations in the hemisphere, 9 million plus people can transform their nation to a better society, I'm positive that in Canada we can also do the same. So really it's up to you, and I hope that you feel that you can as well. So our ask here today shouldn't end today, and it shouldn't end this week. I know the G8 and the G20 is very important, and I know many of you are going to go towards, to the marches, and it's a great start, and many of you may want to even go to the fence, but make sure it doesn't end there. The most important thing you want to keep in mind is that we must organize, we must resist, and then we must transform. That is the way that we could bring true social transformation. I think that this is a start, and we can bring that together. Thank you.